Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It is Joshua from Joshua Chubb Photography, and today I figured I would take you guys through my Complete Fujifilm Kit. So I started shooting Fujifilm back in 2018, around January, February-ish, and to give you a little background story, I started shooting on Canon crop sensor, moved to Sony crop sensor with like the A5100, actually I had the A5000, A5100, A6000, A6300. Then I moved over to the A7 III. In 2018 I switched over to Fujifilm, and so I've been shooting Fujifilm for more than 3 years now, and so just want to run through my Complete Fujifilm Kit. So starting off with the bag of choice for me is actually one that is by Moment in the Fujifilm collaboration. So this is the Moment Rugged Sling. This is the 6-liter version. I really like the material on the bag, like the red drawstrings, kind of a nice way to accent the bag. This one is a sling style bag, and plenty of space, being 6 liters, to fit usually one body. Well, depending on what my loadout is. So normally I might put my X-T3 and with a lens attached to it, and I could probably fit like 2 other lenses in the bag. Sometimes I'll do my X-T3 with a lens and my XS10 with a lens. But one of my favorite parts, I'm not going to really be able to show you since I'm sitting down, but once it's around your shoulder, there's actually another strap that like kind of comes up under your arm. So if you were like going on a hike, or if you were like needed to run, or maybe riding a bike, it's very secure, so it doesn't, pop around, because it has a strap that comes up to connect to the main strap, if that makes any sense. And so for any of this stuff that I'm going to show you, if you guys want to see videos on it, all this stuff has been out for a while. It's not like I have anything that's like extremely new, but if you want my like review, not really review, but kind of like a user experience on it, just let me know in the comments, and I'll make a video about it, whatever it is that you guys want to see. So yeah, Moment 6-liter bag that has, like I said, they did a collab with Fuji, so it does have like the little Fujifilm X badge on there. Also, I'm not a huge neck strap guy. I do like wrist straps, and so another collab here. This is the leash that's also made by Moment. So when I maybe have my XE4 or something like that, I used to have an X100B, and I would just keep it on the wrist strap. So yeah, so that's pretty cool. Now into like kind of the main stuff. So we'll start with let's start with bodies. So my X-T3 is my workhorse camera here, and so initially when I switched from Sony, I didn't really know too much about Fujifilm. A few years ago I had a point and shoot Fujifilm camera that I really loved, but when it came time for me to actually kind of start doing photos, Fujifilm was not in my head. Everyone I pretty much spoke to at the time said, oh, Canon is the way to go. Anyway, in 2018, I sold off my Sony gear, and I ended up going Fuji. And so with that, my first Fujifilm camera was the X-T20, and that was an okay camera. I'm 6'2", I have fairly large size hands. Even with a grip on the X-T20 was not really ideal for me, so I got the X-T2 back then, and then eventually later on I upgraded to the X-T3. Very similar cameras. There are some very minor differences that you get going from the X-T2 to the X-T3. One of the main things that I like better, I love this three-way tilt screen. My Sony did not have this. On the X-T2, it's a switch that you have to kind of flick down to get it to pop out, whereas on the X-T3, it's just a button. So just a little bit more refined, but this is my camera of choice. I love being able to control all of the dials. I'm not really a hybrid shooter like that. I primarily do photos, and a lot of people like the X Pro for primarily photography. However, I like the ISO dial better on the XT bodies. X Pro, you have to, lift up the ISO dial and turn it. This is just better for me. And plus, I have a grip that's currently charging a couple batteries that I often pair with the X-T3. So yeah, X-T3, my main workhorse camera of choice. Recording me now, so you won't be able to see it, is the Fujifilm X-T10. That one is a smaller body, kind of like the X-T20 and X-T30, but the grip is what makes the difference. Plus, I wanted to get a backup camera that had IBIS. As you know, more of the social media platforms are geared toward video. There's a tons of videos about Instagram's recent announcement that they are no longer a photo sharing platform. So, and I've been making, like, you've already seen one behind the scene video. I have a few more that I'm going to be uploading soon from past shoots that I've done. So I needed something that can do video. I don't really need 4K 60, but I definitely did want something with IBIS. So I went with the XS10. So that is on the tripod recording me right now. So obviously I can't show you that. But if you ever want to see a video on it, my thoughts, whatever, just let me know. Next body is going to be the Fujifilm XE4. And I got it in silver. I'll tell you one thing. At first, I used to like the X100 series and the XE series. Those cameras, I liked them in silver. I always thought they looked better than the black versions. But the Fuji did a great job on these new silver versions for the XE4 and the X100V. I like the silver versions a lot better than the older silver versions. Anyway, but yeah, XE4. I don't actually use this as a part of my business. It does have the 27mm on there as well, and that is the newer one that has the aperture ring and the weather sealing. But yeah, this camera is more so my personal camera, my daily carry camera. If I'm going out with family or friends, I love having the flip up screen. It's a game changer. Actually, I remember being on vacation once and I had the XE3 and the original 27mm, and of course on the original XE3 the screen doesn't tilt at all, let alone face you. And I was just like, man, I really wish that they would make a camera that had a tilt screen on it. And then also the 27 didn't have the aperture ring, and all my other lenses have aperture rings obviously. And so way back then I was kind of wishing for this camera, and a few years later Fujifilm announced it, so I had to get it. Okay, so those are my three camera bodies: X-T3, XS10, XE4. Going on to the lenses, my widest lens that I have is the Fujifilm 18mm f2, pancake-ish size lens. A lot of people knock this lens. I personally love it. I like the small size. I like that it's f2. And I've used a lot of Fujifilm lenses. Haven't used every single one of them, but I kind of compare this to the 16mm 2.8. Personally, I really don't like the 2.8. That's why I opt for the 18mm. Maybe the 16 is sharper. I mean, I don't really care about that. Sharpness is kind of overrated in my opinion, for at least the type of work that I do. So 18mm f2, 23mm f2 I have, but it's currently recording me on the XS10, 35mm 1.4. This is actually the only 1.4 lens that I have, and I've used all of the 1.4 lenses, the 16mm 1.4, the 23mm 1.4, and the 56 1.2. It's not a 1.4, but I've used all the fast lenses. Currently in my kit, the 35 is the only fast one that I have. 50mm f2, latest addition to my kit. I've actually owned this lens multiple times. Pretty much all the lenses, with the exception of the 18mm, I've owned multiple times. I was going with the 18 to 55mm, however, I decided I'll try all primes out, and so I had to add this back. This is like my go-to focal length, 75 to 85 in the studio. So my most recent, my last video that I uploaded was a birthday shoot that I did in the studio, and all of those pictures were taken with this lens, the 50mm f2. Solid performer, fast autofocus. I am looking forward to the 56mm Mark II coming out. When that comes out, I will more than likely definitely get that one. And the last lens in my collection, and the main, this lens is the reason why I do not own the current 56mm 1.2 lens, the 90mm f2. In my opinion, this is the king of the Fujifilm portrait lenses. Just the compression that you get with the bokeh, it's just something special. When I've done shoots like kind of side by side with the 56, I just prefer the look that you get with the 90. That compression, that 3D pop is just mwah, mwah. So yep, those are my lenses: 18mm f2, 23mm f2, 35mm 1.4, 50mm f2, 90mm f2, and then technically I have the 27mm 2.8, but I don't really use that professionally at all. And then the last part of my Fujifilm kit is, or I should say are, Instax printers. So I actually have the Fujifilm SP2 and the Fujifilm SP3, and so these photo printers are great. I mean, it gives you like a huge nostalgia factor, and the reason why I have two is the smaller one here does the mini photos, and so I actually dropped it. These videos are unscripted, so I'm going to keep that part in there. But so actually, let me take this out here. So it prints out the mini photos, and this is my son here. The nostalgia factor that you get is just excellent. Shout out to Zach. I want to say his last name is Arias. He said, or maybe somebody, I think someone told him, you take your old cartridges and then you can actually insert your photo, and then it actually makes like a frame, and so I can like actually have this sitting on my desk in my office. So cool thing for that. So yeah, so the SP2 does the mini photos, the mini prints, and then the SP3 does the square photos. And so the thing I love about these printers, not only am I able, you know, to connect my smartphone to them, obviously, but having Fujifilm cameras, I'm actually able to print directly from my camera to the printer. As long as you're shooting some form of JPEG, whether it's JPEG only or RAW plus JPEG, you cannot print directly from the camera in RAW. But I pretty much shoot RAW plus JPEG the majority of the time. And so I actually had the SP3 first. because one, the SP2 is discontinued. However, I wanted to get the SP2 just because I don't know what it is, but the mini film, no matter what store I go to, it's always in stock. However, finding the square film for the SP3, it is a nightmare. Like literally, it's pretty much always sold out. And if I do run into it at a store, they usually have like one pack. So I don't know what the deal is. Plus the film is more expensive. So I figured, you know, I would add the SP2 to my kit. And so there actually is a newer printer. It's called the Mini Link. And I bought that one first before I got the SP2, just because it was like, I guess, the latest model, and I thought that it was kind of a replacement, sticking with the mini format, even though the SP3 is the true successor, but it's the square format. And I bought the Mini Link thinking that I could actually connect my camera to it, and you cannot print directly from your Fujifilm camera to the Mini Link. It only works via the app. So I had to go out, not really go out, had to go online and search for one of these SP2s. And since they are discontinued, they are selling for like $200 brand new. But I was able to actually find one, photoforless.com, $130, came with the printer and actually 2 packs of film. So not bad at all, or I think it's maybe $150. But it still came with 2 packs of film, so definitely makes it worth it. I plan on, shouts out to Zach Arias again, I'm going to the DR next month, and I'm going to be taking my XE4 and also this mini printer, and yeah, I'll probably, you know, take some photos and print it out and give to like some of the local people. I don't know, we'll see how that goes. So this video is going on long enough, but this is my complete Fujifilm camera kit. 3 bodies, 6 lenses, 2 printers. Special honorable mention to, I do also use a Canon Selfie SP1300 photo printer, and it prints out 4x6 photos. And in my opinion, I actually did a test comparing my local print services, so like CVS, Walgreens, Walmart, and that Canon like really holds its own against those. Like it literally looks better than all of them. And I was actually able to print out my passport photo for my trip on that printer. So I really love that printer too. But yeah, any of the gear that I showed you today, if you want to see a you know, a special video about it or dedicated to it, just let me know, and I'll get to working on that. I do have a couple other videos that I already plan on making. So subscribe if you like the content. I'm actually still trying to work on what my studio situation is going to be, or if I'm just going to continue to film here. Typically my last video I filmed it a little bit later in the day, so I didn't really have to worry about as much light here, but trying to take advantage of this quiet time while my son is sleeping to make a video for you guys. So yeah, subscribe if you want to, hit the bell notification if you want to. Didn't really make you know, a YouTube channel to get a whole bunch of subscribers, but maybe one day I'll be like, oh, here's my plaque, because I have 100,000 followers or subscribers. But anyway, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.